Right now at 6, double the trouble. A new COVID-19 variant dubbed the double mutant is now here in the Bay Area.
And folks should get vaccinated as soon as possible.
The big thing, doctors admit they don't know about this variant.
Plus, she's here. Vice President Kamala Harris comes home for the first time since taking office, what she's asking every one of us here in the Bay Area to do.
That's right. We go one-on-one with the Vice President and an exclusive interview with our own Raj Mathai.
What's something surprising that you didn't know about this new life of yours that we don't know in the public?
How she answered that question and what she says you may not know about Joe Biden, the president. The News at 6 starts right now. Good evening. I'm Jessica Aguirre.
And I'm Terry McSweeney, back home in the Bay Area, and Vice President Kamala Harris has something on her mind. She came here to drum up support for the Biden administration's infrastructure plan.
Her first stop, a tour of the East Bay mud water treatment plant with Governor Newsom. Harris touted President Biden's jobs plan that'll divert billions to improve the nation's water quality, especially for low-income communities. Her second stop, less about pipes, more about people. Harris visiting a black-owned catering business in West Oakland, which survived the pandemic thanks to loans from nonprofits there. The Congresswoman also met up with Barbara Lee and said she brought up the issue about extending the mass vaccination site at the Oakland Coliseum. People we spoke to say they're ready to support the administration's ambitious rebuilding plan.
We definitely need to get the roads fixed and everything, so anything that helps, so I definitely appreciate the fact that she's coming here in person during COVID.
Now, another familiar face welcomed the vice president during her visit, successor, Senator Alex Padilla. He was tapped by Governor Newsom to serve out the rest of Harris's term. Not much fanfare for this trip. Unlike her previous visits, no rallies, no photo ops. Her two events today closed to the public and, for the most part, closed to the media as well. However, the vice president did grant our Raj Mathai access, and Raj joins us now in the studio. And you really spent much of the day today with the vice president in Oakland.
This was a different time, right? We've both dealt with her for so many times across the years. It's just different now. You can feel it. It's palpable. But down at the bottom of it, you still see glimpses of the woman we know. Logistically, even, the whole process started yesterday when we all had to get COVID tested from the White House advance team in San Francisco. Today, though, layers of handlers and Secret Service, even for a vice president. The security detail is heightened for her. But as we mentioned, underneath all of that, it's still that woman we know for so many years. Our exclusive interview at the Red Door Catering Company, that minority-owned business in West Oakland.
When I went out to East Bay Mud, it's same exit off of 580.
Did you go by your house?
I didn't, because I had to get here. But I looked over and I knew it was there, and yeah. I'm home. I'm home.
You've come full circle. I know you've been asked this many times, but is it hit you now, your new life, not even your new job, your new life?
I'm so task-oriented. So it's literally, it's okay. We got to get checks to people who have been unemployed for so long. We need to take care of, all of these children who are hungry and their parents are in food lines for hours. We've got to lift half of America's children out of poverty. Like, that's where my head is.
I can't even call you Kamala anymore, Madam Vice President. You've always had this pressure, and now there's, I don't know if it's a pressure or a great challenge ahead of you, but there's so many people thinking, okay, even in 2024, this could be yours. Do you embrace that possibility, even those conversations?
Honestly, not at all. Not at all. You know what I'm looking at right now? I'm looking at the fact that, again, we need to make sure that all those folks who are in those food lines, that we get them back to work, that we give them assistance, that we help them get through the month and not end up being homeless or evicted. That's where my head is. People are suffering in our country right now. And I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel a great sense of optimism. But the optimism that I feel is absolutely coupled with a sense of purpose to act, to achieve, right, the things that make us optimistic. Because if we don't work at it, no reason to be optimistic. We have to work at it.
And that's something we're well aware of, all of us here dealing with her for so many years.
Yeah.
There is that pure optimism that she has, that real energy that she carries, but now it's even more difficult, Jessica and Terry, in the sense that we know that President Biden has said his transition, he wants to be this as a transitionary president, and that really opens the door for her at 2024. I think that brings even more pressure. Forget about the gender, forget about her color of skin. I think that gives her even more pressure because she's essentially campaigning the whole way these next 4 years.
Well, she still has that very signature, pure, as you said, we used to be able to call her Kamala. Now we have to call her, Madam Vice President. That same type of drive and that sense of purpose for the people that she's always had, that we knew as DA, that we also knew, when she was in state government. And now she's just had to take that on a much wider scale, it seems, Raj. But she seems like she's very comfortable in the role. What was your take on it?
It's comfortable, but there is some, you can feel that pressure, feel the weight of that pressure on her, because not only is she the main person now out here in front trying to sell this $2 trillion infrastructure deal, but also the crisis at the border. She's being asked about that. A lot of different things that, as designed, President Biden has said, okay, our vice president will address this much more than any vice president in recent memory.
Yeah, he has put a lot on her plate, but he knows how to, he's been in that role before himself.
Yeah, Terry, you've dealt with her for many times, many years. You can sense, though, right now, it's just that little, there's just a lot of people demanding her time. And she's back in L.A. tonight, off to Chicago tomorrow, and then back in D.C. So it's not that usual ribbon-cutting role that vice presidents have.
And she grew up well with it, DA. She goes on to Attorney General. She goes on to U.S. Senate. I mean, it was pressure, different kinds, but now kind of the ultimate pressure she's going through right now.
It is. Later in this newscast, I'll be back up more from that interview, including how she plans to sell the American public on this $2 trillion bill that will raise taxes for many people in the Bay Area, including business owners. We'll see you at about 6:30.
Okay, that's perfect. We're going to see more of Raj's interview with the vice president at 6:30, like you mentioned right here, so you want to make sure you hang out for that. Thanks, Raj.
Some big developments tonight in the push to extend the federal mass vaccination site at the Coliseum. Currently, it is set to shut down April 11th. But today, both the U.S. Senator and now the Vice President says that's not going to happen. As NBC Bay Area's Pete Suratos reports, Senator Alex Padilla toured the site and said he's working to get FEMA to stay longer. Then the Vice President went even further.
This facility alone is responsible for more than 300,000 Californians being vaccinated.
U.S. Senator Alex Padilla wants to keep the momentum going at the Oakland Coliseum mass vaccination site. He took a tour of the site today, with FEMA planning to shut down the facility there on April 11th. The senator told us he's working to change that. When asked if he could say for certain that the site would remain open, he offered a confident maybe.
The contract with FEMA is through this Sunday. This coming Sunday, but we have a commitment to figuring out how to extend the life of this facility.
And it's ultimately up to Alameda County to keep the site going, which depends on a number of factors. And officials in the county are concerned as eligibility for the vaccine is expanding in a matter of weeks.
So we're really worried when we just do this astronomical opening on April 15th, that without a site like this, we will not be able to meet people's expectations.
Alameda County Supervisor Wilma Chan spoke alongside Senator Padilla today and said a few things need to happen in order for the site to remain open. Specifically, more vaccine supply, costs to cover site maintenance, and enough workers to handle the vaccinations.
It's never done till it's done, and the fact that the senator came all the way out here to give you all that message that he is working on something to continue it gives me some hope.
And there is another reason for hope. Late this afternoon, a spokesperson for Vice President Harris said FEMA has now officially offered to extend its stay at the Coliseum and is in discussion with the state and county to do so. In Oakland, Pete Suratos, NBC Bay Area News.
So it's not done, but we are making progress. It turns out our positivity rate is at an all-time low. The positivity rate now for California is at 1.6%. I want to show you this graph that shows the positivity rate since last June. Now, during the summer surge, we had it here almost at 10%. It dropped as you can see over here, and then it went back up to 17.1% during December, right? That was super high. And then it just continued to drop, and now we're at 1.6%. That happened this weekend. Governor Newsom tweeting out today that this is the lowest rate in the entire country. So here's something we should worry about. The race between variants and vaccines is hitting up, and not in a good way. There's a new COVID-19 variant out, and it's got an ominous name. It's a really kind of, icky name. It's called the double mutant, and it's landed here in the Bay Area. Stanford scientists discovered it late last week. The variant contains one mutation identical to the West Coast variant, and then a second mutation similar to the hyper-contagious variant found in Brazil and South Africa. Doctors say they've studied mutations individually, but they're not sure how vaccines will do against a combination.
The vaccines may be slightly less effective at preventing moderate disease or moderate illness with this particular variant, but the vaccines are still very effective, and folks should get vaccinated as soon as possible.
Dr. Benjamin Pinsky is the medical director of Stanford's clinical virology lab, which detected that double mutant variant only a day after India reported it. So far, he tells us there is one confirmed case in the Bay Area, the only one in the U.S. so far, and they're looking at the possibility of up to 7 more.
Up next, getting a vaccine appointment, the key to securing that crucial time slot to get one this week.
And we're seeing some cooler temperatures to start the week with low clouds and drizzle, but finding any real April showers in your 7-day forecasts, that might be tougher to come by, along with some warmer temperatures on the way later this week. Closer look, we come right back.